So we're a couple of high school
Yep.
chemistry teachers, and we have not lectured in 6 years.
Yeah. So basically, we were recording our lessons live in that 2006 school year and putting them online for our students who missed class. It was a great resource to have them there. And then that's when we had the conversation with the superintendent, and we said, you know what, we have to make sure our class time has value, especially now that we're archiving these things. Why would a kid want to show up to my class? So like John said, we committed to making pre-recorded videos for the 2007 school year, and our students would watch those videos before they came to class, and then when they came to class, they would get help on the work that they needed to do. So we call this Flipped Class 101. This is kind of what people think of when they hear the term flipped classroom or flipped learning. It's what you used to do in class, that's now done at home, and what used to be done at home is now done in class. Now, if all you're doing is recording a lecture and giving that as homework, and then taking what you were giving as homework and doing that in class, that's not revolutionary. There's nothing revolutionary about lectures and worksheets. Regardless of when they're watching the lecture, regardless of when they're doing the practice, that is not revolutionary. Okay? But what you can do is once you kind of think in terms of time-shifting direct instruction, what are you going to do with your class time? So that's what we want to do. You got to think about, how do you know what you're actually going to put on a video? What kind of stuff is good to put on a video? Now, our approach the first year was everything that we used to do live for direct instruction, we made a video. Some of them were good. Some of them, not so much. So
we did remake all of our videos the second year because they were that bad. So
yeah.
So if you
ask yourself one question.
The question is, what's the best use of your face-to-face class time? Okay? I would argue that probably the best use of your face-to-face class time is probably not you standing up and telling kids stuff, yakking at your kids, right? We still believe there's a place for direct instruction, okay? Some people don't, but we do. There's still a place for that direct instruction. But if, like Aaron said, you can time shift it out of there, you can answer that question. You know, for us as science teachers, we believed in a lot more hands-on activities, more inquiry. See, in our classrooms became these, inquiry-driven, problem-based labs of just working with kids. It's been amazing. So
technology will never make a bad teacher good, but it can help make a good teacher better. So think along those lines. Think good teaching first, and then what can you do to enhance your teaching practice by leveraging some easy-to-use technology tools?
So what is suitable for a video? The reality is the video is really good for, if you're maybe educational theorist. Is the next slide Bloom's? Yeah.
Lo and behold,
is,
I have
is
the
Bloom's taxonomy. Now, where do the videos actually best fit? Well, the reality is they best fit down here in understanding and remembering. Okay. You're not going to evaluate and create. Maybe create if the kids are creating the videos, and we got that started to happen eventually. So it's very important that we look at the bottom here. That's what they're good for. It's kind of like that pre-learning, that background knowledge, and then in class you can spend your time doing the cool analyzing and evaluating stuff. So that's the reality, is that's what the videos are good for. I mean, it's like, okay, let's learn about how to write a balanced chemical equation in a chemistry class, or in an astronomy class, how to do, why do stars, the evolution of stars, or lots of things that you could teach about.
Yep. So like John said, the bottom two tiers of Bloom's, this is what we want to kind of just get out of the class time, so we can get to all that good stuff, the stuff you've always wanted to do in class, but you never had time because you're so worried and focused on content. Well, archive the content. That way you still have control over it. You still have common vocabulary and language that your students are familiar with. If you're making your videos, they're going to meet your state standards. They're going to fit with just your curriculum. Then you're going to get up to the upper level stuff, all the stuff that you've always wanted to do in your classroom. Now, looking at Bloom's, we typically start at the bottom and work our way up. So if you're going bottom up, you're going to start with some content, maybe deliver it on a video. When students come to class, they're going to apply that and analyze greater things. Then maybe end up with some sort of capstone project at the end of the unit, and they're working their way up to this higher end. So I don't know, maybe it was last October we were doing a presentation in Norway, and on the airplane I thought I had a brilliant idea. I thought, well, you know what? I don't want my kids spending so much time down here. Why doesn't Bloom's taxonomy look like this? And I thought I had a clever idea, right? I don't have any clever ideas. So it turns out Lauren Anderson, who incidentally was a student of Benjamin Bloom, kind of came up with the inverted Bloom's model.
So what if you start with a big idea and creation and evaluation, like a problem, and then you tap down to get the content? So an example, if you're in a chemistry class, you might say, instead of like, let's learn electrochemistry and let's learn this, what if you started and you said, build a fuel cell? Well, to understand how to build a fuel cell, you've got to learn, you have to know how to balance equations. So there's a big picture, and the kid's going to go, well, I really can't solve this problem unless I learn how to balance an equation. Well, fancy that. We have a video for that. So they can now tap down to that base now. So they tap down for the content with a big picture in mind. This is more of a PBL, problem-based learning kind of a style that is a lot. I don't know, that's more robust. What would you want to say about that, Aaron?
Yeah, exactly. So if we go back here, this is going to be start with video, work toward a project. And this is going to be using the video in the middle of your learning cycle. So if you have a project-based learning cycle, you're going to start with the project, like John said. You're going to tap down to the content when needed. You're not going to front load with the video. Why would you want to do whole class stuff when you're only meeting the needs of 30% of your students? You wouldn't. You would want to shift that out of the class on a video and spend full class time up here. So we have there's a million different tools and solutions and stuff for that out there. To name a few, by the way, you can make content on an iPad. You can make it on your phone. You can make it on a little netbook. You can make it on your laptop.
I got people who's making with a computer hooked up to a document camera, and they're pointing down at things.
Yeah.
There's so many ways.
Exactly. And so some people, they just want to use a video camera. They just want to film things. They just want to film themselves up front, and that's great. And some people, they want to use screen capture technology, and there's screencasting tools that you can use to record whatever's on your screen. You can have webcam things built in. A lot of the interactive whiteboards, they have screen recorders built in. Some people then want to go on and edit, and there are programs that you can edit the video and then post it online. And then there's a million online video repositories. So a few myths and misconceptions that are floating around out there. Well, does this rely on video? Do you have to produce videos to make this sort of teaching style work? Now, for us, we would say, we used quite a bit of video. We used it very heavily in our classroom.
At first.
Yes, but you don't necessarily have to think like flipped classroom, like everything is going to be done with an instructional video. Think flipped lesson or flipped learning. That's why we're calling our new network the Flip Learning Network, not the Flip Classroom Network, because it doesn't have to be a systemic approach to your classroom. This is not a unique pedagogy. This is not constructivism. Okay? This is a tool in your toolbox. This is a technique that you can leverage when it's appropriate. So elementary school teacher.
I now work at a K-8 school. I'm the learning coach basically for a K-8 school, and my third grade teachers and my fourth grade teachers and my kindergarten teachers who are flipping their class, they don't like flipping a class, they're flipping lessons. Where do you put the video in the lesson? And they said, if you're teaching a kid, their letters and their sounds at kindergarten, B, ba, bat. What they've told me is they want to teach that live. Because if the kid learns it at home and B, ba, bat, and they get it wrong, then they have to unlearn it before they learn it right the first time, and that's very ineffective. But they see the video as coming in the middle of the instructional cycle, not before. So you do not have to preload or front load the videos. Now that it was totally appropriate for us as high school science teachers to front load the videos and have them watch ahead of time, but that's not true for the kindergarten teachers. And so you don't flip a class, you can flip a lesson, flip a unit, flip what's right. Okay. So a couple more things.
Homework. So homework. This is kind of one of the big concerns that people have with the flipped classroom model, because they assume that it has to be a video assigned at home. Okay? Now, again, that's kind of like version 101, right? But you don't have to stop there, and you don't have to assign video content as homework. So there are legitimate reasons why you would not want to give your students homework. Some communities, they say, that is family time. You don't get to encroach on that. So don't send school home with the kids. Totally understand that. I have kids. I have a family. I get that. So that would be a legitimate reason to not give homework. The other communities, maybe students go home and they have to take care of younger siblings. Maybe they even have to go to work to help provide for the family. Legitimate reasons to not give homework. I totally understand that, and I relate to that.
But if they have the videos, so if you have the videos and you create sort of and we'll talk about this more in our second session, but an asynchronous environment where not all the kids are on the same page at the same time, then you can have the videos, and these kids are ready for, video 5, and these kids are ready for video 7, and these are for video 10, and these are all at a slightly different place. Then it's just-in-time teaching. I mean, you will be in lots of kids' heads at the same time, so to speak, as you made these videos, which is kind of creepy. Which is actually one of the great benefits of the videos is that pause button, right? All right. It's not just good, because it's funny, but it's also good because you can rewind, right? The biggest proponents of the flipped class in my school, my K-8 school, are my special ed teachers. Because what they know their kids, I mean, I'm talking fast right now. Well, guess what? I talked fast when I was a high school chemistry teacher. And some of those kids couldn't process my speed, but they can pause and rewind. In fact, on the other end, by the way, Chris McDonald, one of our amazing students, he just, there's a little button in iMovie that you can watch the videos double time. And so he was a brilliant child, still is. He's going to probably get a PhD someday. Just one of those rocket science kids. He would watch us at twice the speed. And so we talk like this, and he could process that fast. And it was efficient use of his time, right? It's like, all right, so the lecture's 15 minutes on the video, and I can do it in 7.5. And I can still learn it in 7.5. Right?
In the interest of time, sometimes we have a little sample video we show just kind of some of our videos.
Yeah, let me just describe. So our videos are not just a whiteboard and us writing, okay? So we also bring in video clips. So Aaron and I were speaking at the ISTE conference in Washington, D.C. a number of years ago. We brought a video camera, and it's a video on Aaron or me, I don't know, whoever it is, and we're standing in front of the Hope Diamond, and what are we teaching them? The chemistry of diamonds. It's called covalent network solids, if you want to be chemistry and all. Mm-hmm. So we brought the Hope Diamond into our classroom. I got the chance to visit Peru with my son who's in college now, and a couple of summers ago, and I'm talking about the geology of the Andes Mountains while standing in the Andes Mountains. So you can put these clips into the videos, right? It's very powerful. So there's lots of things that you can do. Geology of the Andes Mountains while standing.
Wow.
Wow. I'm being echoed. So you can do all these things in the videos. It's a much richer experience than just like a whiteboard.
Right.
Okay?
And so it kind of brings another point. Why would you want to make your own stuff? Why would you want to make your own content? Why would you want to make your own videos? So, I mean, there's a lot of good content videos that are on the internet. I mean, when we started, we felt compelled to do so because, I mean, we put our first version, we put them on Google Video because YouTube wasn't around yet. And if it was not really there for putting like just good stuff. It was, people's pictures of their children and stuff. But we felt compelled to make our own videos. But there's a lot of good content out there now. So do you need to make your own? So let's back up a bit. If you want to start down this road of flipped learning, flipped classroom approach, it's a lot of work to make your own content. We're not going to lie to you. We're not going to tell you it's easy because it's not, but it's worth it. But so maybe you're going to use somebody else's videos to get started. So there are teachers around this country who use our chemistry instructional videos in their classrooms. Great. Thank you for doing that, but I wish you made your own. And guess what? Their students have told them, you need to make your own. These guys are great and funny, but I don't know them. I know you. You're my teacher. I hear your voice. I see your face.
Do a mixture where it's a little bit of you and a little bit of them. So I had a couple.
Back to this, they don't have to just be stand-up in front lecture stuff. They can be really rich, interactive videos, and there's ways to make the video actually interactive, like click here, choose your own adventure, jump to this timestamp, and so on. So they don't just have to be lectures.
So when he asked that one question, what's the best use of his face-to-face class time, he talked about inquiry, and he's the top-down from Bloom's down. He's kind of the guy who's doing a lot of work with that. So
this is Jason Kern. Jason Kern's an economics teacher in the Dallas area. And what Jason does, now he kind of takes a front-loading approach to the video. He teaches his students about, let's say, supply and demand. So has an instructional video on what supply and demand is and how it works. Very content-driven. That's kind of static. The concept of supply and demand doesn't really change much. So students watch that at home. They come to class. What does he do? He picks up the newspaper and says, the Dallas Mavericks just won the NBA Finals. How does this relate to supply and demand? Go. So he has the content outside of the class, and then he creates a context for the students to apply what they've learned in his class. So that's an economics approach.
Right? How should you answer this question? What's the best of your face-to-face class time in your class? I don't know the answer to that question. Okay? But I would argue it may not be standing up and talking to your kids.
Yep.
You see, the beauty of the flipped class is it's no longer a dissemination of knowledge. It's a conversation, right? We had a teacher, Sherry Kendrick from San Antonio. She adopted her model, and she has this quote that I think it's in our book. And she said something to the effect that I don't have to go to class. I get it right now. I used to have to go to school and perform 5 times a day. Now I go to school and I interact with kids. That's the gist of her quote. And I think that's the key. You see, class is a conversation. It was a joke. I don't know if you're in classrooms. The kid would come with a pass to your classroom, right? And say they're looking for someone to take them to the office. And where do they look when they're looking for the teacher, when they walk in the door, the kid from the office? They look at the front of the room. And the joke was, Mr. Bergman, we can't find you because you're always in and amongst the students. Okay? That's key. You're always, wait. I said, wait, you couldn't find me? I had white hair. I'm an old guy. But, you're sitting with the students, right? I mean, we didn't say this, but it means the subtitle of our book. We talked to every kid in every class every day. All right? That was not true. Like, if you guys were in my class, the kids in the back of the room, they came in, I did my thing, they walked out, and I never talked to them. In the flipped class, I talked to every kid in every class every day because it's all about walking around, interacting, and talking with kids.
Yep. What we're really seeing the flipped classroom as being is a bridge. This is getting teachers from being content experts, the holders of the information. It's getting them to a student-centered classroom where the kids are in charge of their learning, where we're meeting the individual learning needs of individual students while still maintaining quality control over content that's being delivered. Again, we see it as a bridge from going from a teacher-centered classroom to a student-centered, learner-centered
We even changed the structure of our room. Okay, so in the front of the room, all right, there's a big whiteboard. And then we got high tech and we got a projector and they hung it from the ceiling. It was really cool. And then we stopped using it, right? Because the kids were watching the videos. We even got a smart board. And you know where we put the smart board? Over on the side wall. Because whose was it? It wasn't mine, it was the kids. It was their collaborative station. And in the middle of a room was a table. And on that table was just this Mondo table, and the kids could collaborate around it. See, in the front of the room where I had the big whiteboard, I put a bank of computers. We won a grant. We got some computers so the kids could do assessments so I could see that they weren't cheating that way. And so and I put my desk in the middle of the room. Because so I could be in and amongst the students. My desk wasn't in the front. You changed the center of the room was learning. It wasn't the teacher. Sadly, for my first 19 years as a teacher, the center of the room was me, right? You came in, you heard me, I did my thing, and I taught you how to teach, how to learn. And it was all from me. Now we gave up the control. I think a quote in our book is, control freaks need not apply. So if you feel like you need complete control of every aspect of your classroom, this won't work for you. You've got to give up the control of the learning to the kids, and they will take it, and they will do well. Not to say that there's not struggles along the way, but it works.
Yep. But if you have a standardized way through which students are going to view these, so like Ramsey, who we mentioned, he embeds his videos on his webpage and then embeds a Google form underneath it. They type in their name, they respond to a multiple choice question, and then they respond to an open-ended question. And he gets that feedback in a spreadsheet every morning. He knows exactly who watched it, when they watched it, what they struggled with, and where he needs to steer the class for that day based on misconceptions that are still out.
What was your initial time commitment? How much more time did you put into like your lesson plans and things?
All right, the time question. How long did it take us to make the videos, Aaron?
Speaking of time, we're almost out. So
we're almost out of time.
Yep. So John will answer this, and we'll wrap it up.
All right, so my third grade teacher, Karen, her first 3-minute video took her 3 hours. She's down to 20 minutes. And it's a learning curve, learning the new software and stuff like that. One thing that's important to understand is these videos are not perfect, okay? They are not perfect. In fact, this is our recommendation as we teach teachers this. We say, do you want it perfect or do you want it by Tuesday? And the answer is Tuesday, okay? They're not perfect. They've got mistakes. Hopefully, we try and edit those things out. And some are just silly mistakes, and some of them are more, if they're really bad, then we'll just have to remake them. But, yeah. Another thing about videos is we encourage you, mistake we did is we took all of our videos, and whatever our regular lecture was, we made it the same length. Wrong. Actually, make your videos short, and short, okay? One of our chapters in the book talks about 10 rules of making good videos. Number 1 is make it short. Keep it short, one objective per topic, okay? So we do 2 or 3 objectives on a video, bad. 1 objective per topic, and that really does help. Also, if the kids aren't misunderstanding one thing, then you just watch this one video versus, it's a minute 13 or 12 of this, don't do that.